All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for attending my webinar today. I appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about financial reporting within Stratum and extracting some of the data from your general ledger and getting some of that into the picture so that you can analyze your financials and some of the cost data and some of the additional costs, expense data that you might have, and then get to more of a net profitability number. So we'll talk a little bit about that today, how that fits into the Stratum Data Hub, and take a quick look at the financial model, which certainly is customizable. And then we'll talk about how you would get access to some of the financial data. Of course, you can get access through the Stratum interface, but also the new Excel connector, which would be pretty excellent in terms of building your financial reports and then just importing the data directly into your Excel reports. So we'll kind of take a look at some of that today. We'll look at a demo and take any questions that you might have. So here's the Stratum Data Hub again, and we just wanted to highlight the different components of the Stratum Data Hub. As you can see, the financial performance management is just a pie in or a piece of the big pie there of the Stratum application. And as you can see, it's intertwined with the other applications that are available to your Stratum environment. And we could see that certainly we could get data by using Stratum Link or any other ETL tools that we would use to get to grab your GL data and to get that into Stratum. So certainly Stratum Link would be able to do that, and any other tool you might have in-house could certainly, as long as it could tap into your ERP or your general ledger tables and get access to those, we can then start extracting the data and getting that into the FPM module, which is kind of what we call it, and getting that data loaded into Stratum. And then from there, you could use the Stratum Access Hub to build your Excel reports. You can certainly use Power BI if you wanted to do some visual, more graphic and visualizations with your ledger data. You could build some alerts, maybe start alerting on the different accounts, whether they're above or blowing out the budget. And so there's a lot of opportunity here, I think, in terms of getting the ledger data in, your financial data in, and then getting that into the environment of Stratum, into the engine, and then having the different areas for analytics and reporting available to you. It's just, again, a piece of the Stratum Data Hub. The financial performance management module really, it basically has some goals in mind in terms of giving you better bottom line visibility to your profitability. And this would be done obviously at the customer and product level. Certainly this would then identify opportunities to increase your profitability. It would certainly identify areas where you're not profitable, which certainly would help you eliminate perhaps high costs or non-value add activities that you could eliminate from your enterprise to perhaps become more profitable. And so by gaining visibility into some of these areas, then you'll be able to certainly find opportunity to increase your profitability. Some of the challenges here obviously are factoring in customer and product specific costs, being able to see certain costs beyond just the standard cost of goods sold. And so certainly this is something that kind of would take you to that next level. And from there, certainly you'll be able to start analyzing your customers, which ones are the most value to you in terms of profitability. And then certainly the one that managing the ones that are least profitable. And then on the product side, same thing there, right? Which ones are costing you more, and how can you assess the costs? How can you bring those down? How can you make yourself more profitable? Again, by getting the visibility into these numbers and getting that into Stratum would really kind of, again, gain the visibility and then help you provide to make some strategic decisions about what to do about some of these areas. from a graphical standpoint, if you were to look at this application, it looks something like this, where you've got the different areas for corporate performance, you've got the different departments that are available, the accounts, and all the different financial accounts that you have put together. And we do have a piece of software that allows you to streamline or combine accounts for reporting purposes as well. Customer and product profitability, of course, you're going to be able to get down to more of a net profitability number by getting in some of these costs from the ledger. And then certainly feeding in a budget, then you'll be able to analyze not only your actuals, but being able to compare the financial actuals to your budget and seeing areas where hopefully not a lot of surprises there in terms of blowing out your budget. The Excel connector add-in is a new piece that we just added into the latest version. So with version 7.3, you gain access to this piece. So if you're not running Stratum version 7.3, I certainly encourage you to get that upgraded so that you can certainly enjoy the benefits of this particular connector. And if you're not licensed for that, we can talk about that as well. And you can always contact me. And so this piece allows you to open up to Excel, use that as your interface, if you will, to the data within Stratum. And from a financial standpoint, this is pretty big because Excel is, one of the main pieces that are used for financial analysts. We see that Excel is going nowhere in terms of being used in the financial world. So this piece really allows you to use the Excel interface, use that as your primary report designer, and then just importing the data in from Stratum is the concept here. You've got this ability to use Excel to connect to your views. Obviously, it's a very cost-effective way to get data out to your users. You're probably using Office 365 to some degree. So everyone's using it, of course. And we all know that Excel has the fully customized, custom visualization, reporting options. It's got some powerful features for analysis and visualization. So they've done some improvements in terms of what they've done for the graphing and charting capabilities within Excel. The connector, if you're licensed for it, you can actually download it directly in Excel, download it directly from the Microsoft App Source, which is a marketplace that you can access directly in Excel. So if you're licensed for it, you can gain access to it immediately and download that into your workbook and start using it. And you can start creating some reports like this. This is something that we put together using some of the profitability numbers that we have within our demo. And you can do some really cool things. This is Excel. And I'll show you what I've done to build this. But as you can see, you can do some really cool things like this that I think some of your financial analysts would enjoy. So I'm going to step you through some of this, how this would look within Stratum, some of the views that we have within Stratum, and then we'll take a look at the Excel connector and how we could feasibly use that to grab data and get that financial data into Excel. As always, you can always contact me. There's my email, my phone number. If you have any further questions after today, you can certainly feel free to email me. If you have any interest in pursuing this, we can talk about it, certainly. Don't forget, you've got the YouTube channel, all the forums out there, all the different links that are available to you for more resources, more information about Stratum. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our demo. Here's the latest version. So this is version 7.3 of Stratum. So if you're not running the latest version, this is what it looks like. And there's our new home page, which is a little more streamlined, a little more updated, and allows you to gain access to the different resources very easily. Now, as we said before, version 7.3, we moved a lot of things around. We got rid of the admin utilities menu, and a lot of the things have been moved over here to the hamburger menu up in the upper right hand corner. So all of your administrative menus, your analyst tools are all going to be found here. So if you want to do any data imports or importing of a sales plan or a budget, this is all handled here in the upper right hand corner. So that's new. Another new area over here is the left frame menu. This has been revamped, redesigned, if you will, so that it shows your recents and you can gain access to all your views here. So it's got this little 3 tabular menu, if you will, and then you can go into your favorites, and in your favorites, you can move stuff around. So if you want your reports in a certain order, you can drag and drop that stuff around. So some cool things. So let's take a look at what we've done. Here's a cash flow statement. So this is something that you can put together using the FPM module and get more of a cash flow statement here. We can see that the line number dimension is really that's really spitting out our report. Now this report gets formatted with another interface, and we call that the line definition utility. So there's actually another menu that you would go into to build out these different breaks in your report. As you can see, you've got lines, dotted lines, double dotted lines. You've got the verbiage here of your the different lines in your report. So that's all done within the LDU, is what we call it, the line definition utility. And then that creates this format of this report, which then you can then run and gain access and have your cash flow statement right here within Stratum. So that's available. And then certainly everything within Stratum applies. So if I wanted to go in and maybe segment on a certain period, if I just want to, instead of year to date, maybe just look at period 1's numbers, I can go in and obviously use my time period, my time slices there. And I can add another column for period 2 and so on and so forth. So, something like that a cash flow statement would look similar to that, where you would have this ability to go in, run the report, change any time filters as needed. You can also use your time dimensions. So the same report here, but as you can see, instead of time as a range, I'm now using time as a dimension, where then you can see, you can roll up to the year if you wanted to, click down into the year and see your different fiscal periods and how the cash flow is occurring in more of a trend-like fashion. So again, your navigation here is similar to, again, it's viewer, it's not, it's Stratum navigation. So nothing really is different here in terms of navigation. And so you'll be able to do all the different drill downs that you can do here on time. So you can basically get most, or if not all, your financial reporting done right here within Stratum. Now, if you don't like the look and feel of that report or the format, certainly you can use other reporting tools. Like I said, the Excel connector would be ideal to do some things there. So some other reports here that we can look at if we wanted to take a look at a balance sheet. This is what we would see. Again, similar concept here, where we would have the line definition utility would help us build these different breaks in our report, would help us combine different GL accounts to create these different breaks in our report. This particular report, notice that it's got a hypertext link. So now you're talking from jumping from a balance sheet to a view that would then show us maybe the open AR in more of an aging style report. Okay, so now we jumped from our balance sheet to our open AR report, and now I can kind of see what's going on in terms of money coming in and when that money is due in the next 30, 60, or 90 days, or how's that looking? So I just drilled more detail from the balance sheet to get access to those AR numbers. So that's cool too, right? I mean, you'll be able to use this type of navigation to navigate from your financial reports to ledger detail as needed. Furthermore, you can then obviously see an income statement. So same concept here, where you would have yet another financial report, or traditional financial report, an income statement. So as you can see here, we can see what our gross profit is, what our operating income would be after all the expenses are considered. We've got a budget here to compare to, so that's been loaded in here as well, so that then we can see if we're hitting or blowing out certain numbers, and again, being able to assess our net profitability here. Same concept there would be being able to, use the time dimension obviously there too. Or you can just use the view and just explore the ledger data in its raw format. This is kind of what it would look like if I wanted to drill from the GL source to the GL accounts. Then I can see all the numbers and what they would look like. Here's my sales, my AR, my other breaks for sales regular coming out of a different department. So you've got handling costs, your freight expenses, your product standard costs, and so on and so forth. You're going to have a lot more GL accounts that I would have here in my demo environment, certainly. So, being able to drill this to all the different levels that would be relevant here, and being able to kind of explore the GL data is certainly available. Alerting, all of that, obviously, as long as you have the data within Stratum, certainly all of that's available. Well, what if we use Excel? I mean, now we're talking about maybe using Excel to come in and to basically look at our data in a more of an Excel fashion. So we'll start with that. And so here's that report that I showed you in my presentation. So how did I build this? How did I get data from Stratum into this so that I can build a report similar to this? It's a pretty good looking report here. I can't take all the credit here. Actually, this is a template that I downloaded from Microsoft. So this is something that you could use too and get your financial data into a report that looks like this, where you can come in and you can actually change the numbers and get a feel for how it looks for different years of data, which is really cool. Now, how did I do this? How did I get the data in? Well, I use the Excel connector, right? So here's my income statement in its raw format, and that's the data I'm using. This is the data I'm using to feed those numbers. So what does this look like? How do I get this into from Stratum into this Excel spreadsheet? Well, you'll notice that I've got a Stratum for the Stratum connector. Once you download that from the Microsoft App Source, you can then go to your Stratum menu. And once that gets once you install this, you'll then have a Stratum menu in your Excel spreadsheet as well. And this will allow you then to go get the Stratum data from your URL, your Stratum viewer web address. Once you plug that in, it now has a link to all the views that are within your environment. And then here I can then look for the income statement that I want to bring in. So you can actually do a search on certain keywords and then bring in your income statement as needed. You would just insert that in and it would refresh your data. And as you can see, it just blinked at me there, but it refreshed the data. So as your data changes, then obviously this is going to change too. And this keeps the hook. Once you save this, next time you open the Excel spreadsheet, it'll automatically refresh the data. You don't have to worry about that. And then you can really kind of get, as you can see, it kind of tells you when it was last refreshed. So you can kind of get a feel for when that data gets refreshed. So here, that's actually a wrong date, but it should tell you the current date, obviously when it gets refreshed. Now, feeding that, you can then build the other reports off of that. So as you can see, you've got other reports that you can build off of that raw data feed. So you've got data, you might have different types of raw data, spreadsheets available to you. So the report itself obviously is linking to these other cells within the raw data sheets, of course. And so that allows you to build out reports off of the different reports that you can bring in from Stratum. Other reports that I can build using let's take a look at some of the other, here's a balance sheet and an income statement. So again, using the Excel connector, I can build out similar or traditional looking style income statements using Excel. And again, I did the same concept here, where I'm building in and just bringing in my income statement using the Excel connector. Another example would be to come in and look at a balance sheet. So again, the same concept here where I'm able to bring in the raw data, the balance sheet view, in this case, using the Excel connector and building the balance sheet summary off of this, which is really kind of cool. Actually, they give you all these different graphic capabilities and whatnot. Again, this is a template that I downloaded from Microsoft. So all of this becomes available to you once you start gaining access to your financial data within your Stratum environment. So kind of cool, a lot of interesting things that you can do with it. Very easy to gain access to the data. The heavy lifting would be obviously to create the groupings and the line definitions for these reports. And that's something certainly we can help you with and consult and educate you guys, and then you're off and running and building your own reports on your own. So it's something that we would train you to do, and then you can build your own reports using the Excel connector, or use the line definition utility and use Stratum views as well. So that being said, I can open things up for any questions. Feel free to chime in if you have any questions. You may be muted. I'm trying to figure out how to unmute you. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions. I see we've got a couple of users in here. If you don't have any questions, that's fine too.
Hi, I have a question actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in regards to the Excel connector. So in your income statement, actually, are you able to change the dates directly in the Excel connector, or you had to change them in the Stratum website first?
You will have to change them. Like for instance, if you were to change the dates there, first of all, I would say build something that's fairly static. And when I say that is because if you change anything, or if some of the columns text changes, then you might destroy any links that you have to those field names, those column names. So when you're building this, you're probably going to want to keep it as dynamic as you possibly can. Okay. And the reason I say that is because your column headings, the data changes, that's fine, but your column headings need to kind of remain static.
Yeah. So for example, if you go back to your income statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, let's say, I'm sorry, can you go to, your raw tab? Okay, so let's just say I want to change the dates from, I don't know, January 2017 to March 2017. Would I do it here, or would I have to do it?
No, you're going to do it. You're going to go back to the view and do it within the view.
Gotcha.
So you would just go to the income statement view and do that there.
And by view, you mean the website? Okay.
Yeah, I would do it here. I think we use this. And yeah, I would go ahead and just double click those here and change those here. Now, if you're going to, or you could just, what I would suggest doing, probably a better thing would be to have more of a trend style, right? So that so that you have everything within the view. You don't really need to go back to the view per se. And it would then just give you everything you need without the need to go back and adjust something. Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, so I've got other sales views that I've done. Year to date. For instance, if you build a view that has a year to date column in it, just call it actual sales year to date. Just get rid of as a matter of fact, you want to get rid of these time range options here. So I would suggest doing something like, as long as they're going to stay static, you're cool. But if they're going to change, then you might do something like, for instance, if this was a year to date column, you would do something like that, where as the data would change throughout the year, this would remain, the column header would remain static, so that your Power BI report or your Excel connection would not sever. Because if that changes and then you try to reconnect to that field and it's different, then you're going to experience some issues there.
Yep. So. Thank you.
You're welcome.